Thomas here with Much Props, going to give you another how-to video. Today I am once again revisiting the Mortal Kombat stuff. I've made 6 of them so far. If you haven't seen the other 2 videos, definitely go check those out. I've seen a lot of you out there making these masks, and some of you have been kind enough to tag me in those posts. If you do make it, anything that I built on this channel, please tag me in the post so I can see them. I love seeing those templates get put to good use. But one common thing that I see quite a bit, and I'm not trying to hate on anybody or point you out, but I'm a very large man, 6'3", 260 pounds. I'm big, and I see a lot of people using my templates, which are scaled to fit me, and then building it for a child. So I'm going to show you real quickly how to scale your template down to fit somebody a little bit smaller, and then give you 4 more variations to this mask. I came up with a couple ideas that I think are going to work pretty awesome. So let's build some more Mortal Kombat Mimpos, but in different sizes. Let's get to building. Alright, so the first thing I thought I would point out for this video, if not just to help me direct it towards somebody, I get a lot of people asking me, hey, can I get that template? The template's always listed in the description. Most of the ones that I make, they're attached to the videos, so all you have to do is go to those. So I'll go ahead and pull up my YouTube channel and pull up the Mimpo build that would have the template that we're going to use today. So I click on it and the video starts playing because I've already been there, but whatever. If you notice directly under the video, there's a description area and it says show more. If you scroll all the way down to the show more, there is a template asset here. It's an Adobe file, so it's a PDF. Figured that would be the most universal and friendly across platforms. Also, if you're trying to do this on your phone, most phones do not pull up PDFs. That's another thing I get, is people telling me my template doesn't work. It does. You just have to be on a PC or a Mac or a computer. So here is my template. It is on a piece of paper. I just tape the parts to a piece of paper and then scan them into my computer. So if you go to here where it says download, we'll click download, and then it'll pop up down here. I click on it, and it'll pull it up in its own little window. And you'll notice that there is now a print button at the top. So I'm going to click print. And if I was to print it at its current size, that is the size that fits my face, which would be an extra large. So if you're an extra large person, big old fathead, then this would be great for you. But if yours is smaller, you may want to scale it down. The smallest one that I'm going to make in this video is at 70%. Now, I just kind of guessed and rounded over. So if you look right here, there's a section that's called scale, and by default that's the size of how big I scanned it in. So if I go to custom, I can then select a percentage of how big that template is, and you notice as I click up, it's actually making the page get bigger. But I mean, you can go down as far as you need to. If you're making it for a baby mouse, I guess you can make it even smaller, and it shrinks down those pieces to that percentage. So my wife, who is a very small woman, has about the same head size as an average child. That would be 70%. For a person of normal size, I would say roughly 90%. And you can see that it doesn't quite take up the whole page, so it shrinks it just a little bit. Now, I realize that you may not be able to guess the exact percentage that you need. So I use this reference sometimes. My friend Cosplay Apprentice, aka Skylar Osler, has this calculator on his website. And if you know the scale of the person who made the template, you can then scale it to the size of the person you are making it for. So I have a 24-inch head. So I'm going to type that into this measurement. And then where it says your measurement, you would put in however big your head is. So my head is 24 inches around at its widest point. So you just wrap a tailor ruler tape over your head. Let's say your head was 17 inches around. Then it would tell you that your scale is right at about 70%. So this would be the equivalent of a difference between me and my wife. Maybe you're building it for a small child and their head is 14 inches. You'd scale it down to 58%. So it's an easy way to convert it. Basically, all it's doing is finding the ratio between the two and telling you how big the thing should be. My suggestion would be whatever number it gets put out here should just add a percent or two to, so it'll give you a little bit of wiggle room. And that's how you scale according to your size. Hopefully that's helpful. This video may be a little long, but it's almost like you're getting 5 videos in one. I printed off 4 different sizes, then so I didn't mismatch pieces, I wrote the scale on them. I typically don't print out my stuff since I make the original template, but I would recommend using cardstock, a little bit sturdier than just the average paper. We'll move fast through most of this, cut out the template. I'm gonna skip facts on this one due to time constraints. Trace your template onto your material. I'm using 6mm EVA, but as you saw on the previous MK video, or maybe you haven't yet, this template could easily accommodate other materials. Glue the edges with contact cement and stick the pieces together using the registration marks as a guide. This thing is tiny compared to my original, just even scaling it down 30%. I'm gonna jump around, so hopefully things don't get too confusing. My first idea on the smallest Mempo was to do a mashup of Scorpion from Mortal Kombat and Pikachu. The recesses will be his red little cheeks, and all I really have to do is carve a nose out of foam and glue it on. The next size up, I'm just gonna paint a cool pattern on, so then we're gonna move up to the large size. Option 3, so this would be the average size adult mask. I'm calling it a large. I decided to take inspiration from my Cabal mask mod video I made a while back and add some molding to it. Instead of casting it in resin, I decided to try using hot glue. Just squirt it into the mold, and if you're impatient like I am, spray it with a can of air turned upside down to speed up the cooling process. The nice thing about casting with hot glue is it's flexible, so I can just bend it over the edges. No real rhyme or reason to my placement. I'm just filling up the mask with scroll work, trying to keep it a little symmetrical. Then option 4 on the extra large size mask, or my size, I decided to do some cutouts. So I found an image of Rick and Morty, cut them out, and used that as a template. You may notice I have 2 copies. I'll use the other one as a reference for when I'm painting later. I hit them all with 2 coats of Plasti Dip, then a base coat of paint for my Pikachu in yellow. My pattern one will get a gradient of dark blue to light blue, and the Rick and Morty will get an aged metal silver. Pikachu's paint job is really simple. Paint the nose black, paint on a mouth, and then color in the cheeks red. I used some Plaid Effects acrylic paint for this mask. For this one, the medium size, I was inspired by a YouTuber I've been watching a lot recently while I build stuff named 1000. He does large murals, crazy characters, kind of a graffiti style, Japanese anime inspiration, and is a really talented guy. I saw a little wavy pattern he did on some of his merch and thought it would look cool on a mask, so I just used some Malto chrome paint pens and got my swiggle on. For my hot glue casted large mask, I used some metallic wax paint and just brushed it on. I started with a copper color to warm up the gold a little. You just hit the high points of the casting to build the depth on that plastic dipped background. Then to finish off my skull boys, I gave them some faux jewels to make them shine. For the Rick and Morty, since a lot of the colors on the characters are light, I started by covering my cutouts and inlay with an off-white. This will help me do less layers of the other color paints later. Then I took a black liner pen and drew the characters on my surface so I could paint on the details. To make it easier, if you aren't a good painter, you could just glue on the printed picture and like decoupage over the top of it and be done with it. I love painting, so I'm gonna take the harder route. So I get the basic colors I need, used my printout as a guide, and just slowly build up the details with a small paintbrush. I put down the base colors, then once it dries I go back and add the highlights, giving the little glow effects in areas, and then I took a black liner again and went over the top of all of those lines just to clean them up. Then the strapping is like all my other foam masks. I glue the elastic down to a little piece of foam, and then I sandwich the elastic in between that foam and the mask to hold it firmly in place. And we are done. Well, still got 3 more to glue straps to. And we are finished. Here is the end result. They're all right in there. My favorite one is the Rick and Morty one. It's one of my favorite cartoons. And I really like how the paint job ended up on the characters. It looks very similar to my reference. I was proudly surprised of how well the hot glue picked up all the details in the mold. This one's obviously a little bit heavier, but just think this isn't casting resin. This is casting hot glue, which is definitely a cost saver. It may take you a little bit more time, but that value could obviously be worth it. This one was kind of inspired by 1000. I've been watching a lot of his stuff on YouTube recently. He's a awesome artist from Seattle who then moved to Wisconsin, I think, or something. But he does this little pattern in some of his stuff, and I really liked that and thought it would look cool. Just a nice accent. And that chrome pen that I used is by far the shiniest and nicest, which is probably why it was like a $13 acrylic paint pen. And then keeping it simple with Pikachu on the smallest one. To give you an idea, I mean, this is the size that I wear, which is an extra large, and this is the size of what a child would wear. My wife barely fits into this one. It's like a chin strap on me. So take that for what it's worth. Size them up. Hopefully you'll make them fit a little bit better after watching this video, and you'll get some more ideas to kind of modify them. I really like this idea of just adding cutouts. I've seen a lot of people do that with some of mine, and it's an easy way to modify it to make it your own. Maybe you will try and make one of these masks yourself and impress your friends with your ability to size it to your head instead of my ginormous one. I mean, probably not to hurt my feelings. Maybe you'll get some.
Yay!
And inevitably, they're going to ask you, how'd you make that? You can give them one of these. Tell them, much props. I'm going to have to go with the Rick and Morty because this is the one that fits my head. And it matches my shirt. Peace out!